wants to tame me. You can't catch me on the run, cause I'm gone, yeah. I blaze trails, set fire to what's behind me. No, I'm never looking back, I'm on the run. I could only ever be what I'm made to be. It feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, roll like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now.
Hi, I'm Wyatt Milam. I'm from Canova, West Virginia. When I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Parmar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Northern Eagle Distributing, proudly serving Anheuser-Busch products to West Virginians. On September 2nd, for the WVU versus Penn State football game, the Wolfman's Call is going to be going live for a pregame at the Pallet Bar in Scott Depot, West Virginia. There'll be 3 ways to watch this. One in person at the Pallet Bar starting at 5 o'clock, and the broadcast will go at 6. Or you can watch it from the WolfMan's Call Network at one of the fine establishments. Or also you can watch it at the Voice of College Football. That's West Virginia's Voice of College Football. If your favorite place, doesn't have it and you want to watch it, tell that proprietor. Go ahead and sign up for the WolfMan's Call Network at wolfmanscall@gmail.com. Again, that's wolfmanscall@gmail.com or at West Virginia VOCFB. You're not going to want to miss the action, and it's all coming to you from the Wolfman's Call. Phil Breakdown, baby. September 2nd, starting at 6 o'clock. Get signed up. Boom! Oh, yes, and welcome to the Wolfman's Call. It's Wednesday, and it's a good day. It's hump day, man. Got to get over that hump. Hey, 10 days away from WVU versus Penn State. Got to give a shout out to my Mountaineer brother, J1 Sider, co-offensive coordinator, Penn State Nittany Lions, running backs coach. Don't know, man. What's going on, buddy? Look forward to seeing you, man. All that's going on. But he's still a Mountaineer brother no matter what, no matter if he's got to get a job somewhere else. Everybody's got to make a living. So that's the truth of it. Welcome again to the Wolfman's Call. We got a big day ahead of us. What's up, Kelly McCord? How you doing, buddy? Good, man. Good. Glad to see you're on board and appreciate you. Always paying attention. You're back home from the hospital, man. Cool stuff. Cool beans. Right on. So, again, 10 days away from Penn State. I'd like to know, let me know, how many people are going to the game? How many people are going to make that trip up to Happy Valley and watch the Mountaineers? Haven't done it probably, I think, it's either 91 or 92. Now, I can't recall, but I'll probably ask my first guest here, well, really today's only guest, and that would be Tony Altimore, because the guy pretty much knows like a lot. I think he's got one of those photographic memories or whatever he reads. And it's funny because when I talk to him, just something new comes out all the time. Always surprises me. So this is good stuff. If you tuned in today, you got really lucky and blessed, because this is going to be a good one. So without any further ado, let's just get it going and welcome Mr. Tony Altimore. What's up, Tony?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'll tell you what, it's always amazement to me when I go ahead, I see you come on during the introduction. Anytime you or anyone else comes on, I'm like, man, is this going to work?
Well, today's a big day. All kinds of breaking news today.
Oh my gosh. Well, you told me about it. I've been in a cave a little bit.
And another thing too. Did you hear the latest from Pete Thamel just a few minutes ago?
No.
So just a few minutes ago, Pete Thamel came out with extensive details. Apparently, there was yet another ACC president's meeting this morning where they hammered out more financial details. And they say within the next week, we could see the University of California at Berkeley, Stanford, and Southern Methodist joining the ACC.
Wow. You heard
he broke down all the financial details. They're going to take huge reduced distributions. It's going to create a new pool of money for ACC members. It's going to be pretty wild. So the ACC will stretch from Boston to San Francisco to Miami and Dallas in between.
Tony, let me ask you, is that desperation? If you're not going to take any of the money and you have to do all this traveling, is that just pure desperation to stay relevant?
Well, it is, but like relevancy is worth the money. Like, because in the grand scheme of things, in these schools, I mean, you look at these schools, the University of California, I mean, depending on which numbers you want to use, because it's kind of complex, the University of California is running on a, I don't know, probably a $10 billion budget. So like, if they need to find another 15 million within that 10 billion, they'll find it. Well, Stanford has a $38 billion endowment, $1 billion of which is just for sports.
Yeah. Okay.
So if they need to stay relevant, so you know what? If it costs them 10 or 20 million, you find the money.
Is SMU in that same boat for that?
Oh yeah, SMU. I mean, SMU has what, like more NFL owners than any other school besides maybe Harvard or something. I mean, no, I retract that. Somebody in the comments will correct me. I mean, SMU has one of the wealthiest donor bases in the country. So yeah, they are loaded with money, and they also understand, I think, that this is really, I mean, based on what we're seeing right now, probably their last chance to join a major conference. Because we're seeing consolidation and weakening, and this is their last chance to get on one of the big ships.
No doubt, man. Well, that's pretty cool. Got to say this here. Hey, Kenny, glad you made it there, buddy. And
go Mountaineers, Kenny.
Yeah, on time. Man, very good. Glad you guys. Timothy Green, man. All right. Good to see you, buddy. Glad, man. I tell you, you're turning into a loyal one there. I'll tell you that much. That's good stuff. And I keep hitting that button here. So I'll tell you what, I got a lot. Now, you gave me some, and I have some of my own stuff that I want to talk to you about. But I want to get into what you wanted to talk about first. And the first one you talked about was Athletic Director, University of Washington, Jen Cohen, and USC making a strike. And what's the deal here? You actually said that Jen Cohen would be a terrific Pac-12 commissioner.
Oh, she would have been John Wilner said he thinks she would have been great running the NCAA. I mean, Jen Cohen is a really, really neat lady. And she's done a heck of a job at the University of Washington. She is really big on team building and supporting the coach. She says, my job is to get them the resources. My job is to clear obstacles and to get them what they need to win. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, not everything she's done has been perfect. Like, she kind of got shoehorned into the Jimmy Lake hiring. And then when that went south, she fixed it in a hurry. And look at where Washington football is now. Their basketball's pretty bad, but last year when she had the chance, she really had to make a budget choice. Do I invest in what Kalen DeBoer needs to succeed, or do I fire this basketball coach and get a new one? And she decided to invest the money in football. And right now they're a top 10 football team. So it's like, I kind of like what she's done with the trade-off, but she has like that spirit and energy. When we talk, I think we maybe even talked about her on here when we were talking about the USC AD. She's been on my list as one of like the people I was really hoping they would give a shot to. So when I found out they were hiring her, it was just awesome. But it sent some shockwaves because, and I don't know the details of it. Maybe someday we will. But they made the decision or whatever. She got Washington into the Big Ten, and then as USC hired her, she left. It leaked on what I heard they'd chosen someone Sunday night. It leaked Monday morning, and she was in LA Monday afternoon and starting 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning in the new job.
There's no such thing as secrets anymore, are there? I mean, the way that if you go from the very
USC kept it pretty quiet.
Did they?
Yeah, in fact, not only did they keep it quiet, but they actually, I don't know if it was a head fake or what, but the LA Times put out a list of people that they heard were like in final interview stages. And what was really interesting about it was I was a little bit taken aback because a lot of them were names that I had not heard. And it turns out none of them were people that got it. And actually, Lincoln Riley came out yesterday and pointed out that a couple of the people who announced that they were taking their name out of consideration were never in consideration.
Okay, excellent. There's two things that I really saw that, I never saw the USC UCLA thing coming. I never saw that to the Big Ten. And what was the other thing? Oh, I never saw Texas Oklahoma coming. And, it's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting with those transpiring. Because, tomorrow I have Jeff Colhane, who's the play-by-play announcer for the ACC, is going to be coming on at 4 o'clock. Okay?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry, ACC, Florida State, excuse me.
Okay.
So he's the play-by-play guy. And we were a team at WVU.
Nice.
So he went up to North Dakota State University, spent 6 or 7 years. He's another brother, and he's going to be on tomorrow. So I'm really interested now what they're saying about that and where they're at Florida State.
Well, and they say Florida State doesn't want that to happen.
I can understand, right? Because they're the top cheese already, right? I mean,
yeah, I'll tell you though, in all honesty, for the ACC, so one of the things, like, as I've taken a look at TV numbers, like Stanford does well at TV.
Yeah.
Stanford will have millions of people watching on TV and hundreds of people in the stands. Because they're almost a better TV product than live game entertainment.
Well, it's a lot better than their band.
Oh, okay, don't get me going on their band. So I love to hate their band.
Me too.
Like I know they drive me nuts, but at the same time, like they're the thing about Stanford. And the other thing is the other band that people hate, which I love, is my devout USC Trojan band, who are loud and play the thumping like Trojan fanfares the whole game. And so when you get the Stanford band and the USC band together, it's like explosive oil and water, and it's kind of fun.
Kind of reminds me east of the Mississippi of Ohio State band.
Oh yeah, but the Ohio State band is like they are like legit. Like that is like the precision and the marching and the music. Like the USC band is loud and they are there for the entertainment. And they actually, at least, and it may have changed a little bit since I was there, but traditionally they don't actually have music majors, because the music majors are like, blasting your horn as loud as possible is not what we do in the music school. And I'm like, well, you know what? It is what we do at the football games, and I'm here for it.
Right on. Okay, you got Mike Rollins here. First question. So that makes 17 teams in the ACC. Do you see us putting pressure on Notre Dame and joining the ACC in all sports? Or do you see the ACC inviting another school along with Cal, Stanford, and SMU?
Well, remember that the Notre Dame is a member of the ACC in all sports, but only a half member in football. So remember that Notre Dame is playing a half ACC schedule already in football, and they're a member in all other sports. And in fact, they're a voting member. So that will give the ACC 18 teams, which in most sports actually is an easier scheduling model than the current 15 or 17. So the 18 I think will fit well. The other thing to keep in mind too is that Notre Dame and Stanford actually have built a whole rivalry. Like they have a rival, what do they call it? The Legends or Legacy or something trophy that goes back and forth between them. And also Stanford and Duke. Some people don't know this. Stanford and Duke have very intertwined athletic departments. Like they try to compete against each other at all sorts of things. They, in a very snooty way, view themselves as like equal peers. They even have a service internship program in the summers. That's like it's like 40 Stanford athletes and 40 Duke athletes. And they like do this like world travel service internship thing or something together. That's intermingled with their student athletes. So there already are a lot of ties existing. And of course, the University of California deeply tied to, everybody. I'm a little surprised that they haven't used they've kind of been sleeping on this, and none of them have used their academic powers to push this through. Oh, Gold guys, can we have a moment? Our friend Golden Blue Dude, I love that comment from Kenny. He would have been in heaven this month.
Okay.
I mean, he is in heaven now, but it would have been exactly where he wanted to be. He would have had a blast.
Yeah.
He nailed it. What? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, he said he nailed it. I was asking if he was right or not. All right.
Well, he said everything possible in every different way. So there's no way he couldn't have been right. But he would have been loving this, and I would have loved watching him, and I would have had a blast with him. We miss Chris a lot.
Yes,
he's a neat guy.
Yep, for sure. All right, man. So let's see. Let's go to the next subject then. We'll move it on. And we got something I find very interesting. And talk about Reggie Bush. Go ahead.
So, interestingly, USC has reorganized. You see those banners for the last, 40 years or so. USC has hung so USC, by the way, does not retire numbers like everybody else. The only way that you get your number hung in the stadium is if you win a Heisman Trophy.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
All right.
And I mean, they have 8 of them. So that's, they have more Heismans than most people have retired number. But yeah, USC, Anthony Munoz, guys like that, the only way you get your number retired is if you win a Heisman. And so they've hung these jerseys, and this year they magically redid it. Now we really have 8 because Caleb Williams has yet to be unveiled, in a big unveiling ceremony. And there is a gaping hole in this new design that is just waiting for a 5 and a 13.
Okay.
And today, overlooking this gaping hole, live from the Coliseum, it was broadcast on the news and everything, Reggie Bush and his legal team announced a lawsuit they filed this morning against the NCAA for defamation. And one of the things that they are, now, of course, in defamation, you seek financial damages. But one of the things that they want is the NCAA. So and I don't know if you guys know this. Some people don't know this. USC was never involved in any of the Reggie Bush accusations. They all had to do with agents, which the Supreme Court has now declared were always legal. So it's not just that the NCAA changed the rules. The Supreme Court has said the NCAA was in violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act the whole time. Second, nothing from any of those sanctions had anything to do with USC or any USC boosters of any kind. USC really got rogered in that whole NCAA investigation in 2010. And not only that, but the investigators lied about things. The investigators had false reports. They changed the dates of things illegal. So the NCAA had to pay something like an $8 million settlement to former USC assistant coach Steve McNair because they lied about things. They botched the investigation. They falsely accused him of stuff. So the NCAA has already lost this in court. And then about a year ago, the NCAA came out and made a public comment that said that Reggie Bush was involved in a pay-for-play scandal, which he was not. So today he has filed a defamation case against the NCAA. And with this view, they had him in the Coliseum. So USC has been very supportive of this, announcing the lawsuit, and they are going to push the NCAA to restore his eligibility. Because one of the catches is the Heisman Trust was put in a bind with the Reggie Bush thing. So when the NCAA declared Reggie Bush to be ineligible during his senior year, what that then did is the Heisman Trust said if he was ineligible, then we can't give him the Heisman Trophy. And so that's how that is. So they want the NCAA to retroactively restore his eligibility, which will then return his Heisman Trophy.
Well, I love it. And you know why? Because really, what is the NCAA pull? What pull do they have now anyways?
They shouldn't. They break the law so badly. I mean, here's the thing. Let's be honest.
I do that myself, trust me.
When you get Justice Sotomayor and Justice Kavanaugh and Justice Kagan and Justice Thomas and Justice Scalia all together to declare you a terrible cartel, you are in fact a terrible cartel.
Yeah.
Again, Brett Kavanaugh wrote an ode to the working people in that concurrence. I mean, it reads like a comedy act. Like they read that in law schools. Like, oh wow, the NCAA sucks. So I mean, it's a wildly slamming, damning decision, and under which the NCAA no longer has, because literally the NCAA's legal strategy, they've always been an illegal cartel, but their legal strategy was, we're going to fight this, and we're going to fight it and clog it up in the courts for so long that you give up.
Right.
But now with the Allison decision and the concurrence that came with it, now the courts will be like, you know what, NCAA, you don't get to stay anymore. You can keep fighting it, but the benefit now goes to the athlete, not to the NCAA, and they are just neutered. So USC fired a bazooka today, and with the new athletic director, I don't know if you heard, USC just signed the number or has got a commitment from the number one player in, I think, the 2025 class or something.
Oh boy.
A quarterback out of Georgia.
Oh boy.
And we just took the best AD. Jen Cohen, by the way, USC's AD, I think and I could be wrong, somebody in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, I think she is the second female to be on the playoff committee.
Okay.
So she's on the playoff committee right now. So, the Washington AD on the playoff committee is now the USC AD on the playoff committee.
Boy, things are really working well for USC right now.
We'll take it.
I'll tell you something else. I have felt the teeth of NCAA. I don't mind whatsoever, Tony, because it was a bunch of crap, a lot of it, and they attack one group, don't attack the other, just pick and choose, all those good things. So,
well, and you know who ran them during their shadiest days?
Who's that?
The head of infractions committee was Paul D., the AD from Miami.
Come on.
Now, if there has ever been a more hypocritical expletive in the world than Paul D. running the committee on infractions, I've yet to see it.
No, okay. I'll give you that, man, for sure. And here we go. So let's talk about this, because I was gonna put this a little later, but since we're on the NCAA and really not paying attention to them, let's go with this, man. And all this conference realignment, because obviously there's the big boys are saying, we're gonna go here, we're gonna pull this in, Washington, USC, UCLA. It doesn't matter what the NCAA says. They gave that up when they went Power 5. They gave all that stuff up, and they said, "Okay, go ahead. You can make decisions." Well, why not restore some old rivalry games?
I agree with you 300%.
I mean, why not get Pitt? I'm going to speak for West Virginia. So why not get Pitt, West Virginia, back in every year like it used to be? Because there's so much shakeup and rescheduling right now. There's got to be a way. I don't know how you do it. I'm not the guy that could do it.
It's actually really easy to do.
Well,
you just schedule it.
Yeah. All right.
You just schedule. I mean, truly, instead of scheduling, especially the SEC teams, I don't want to hear this from any SEC teams, because they pad their schedule with more orphanages, nun convents, and like refugee camps, that they can find. I mean, really, like, they've never found like a UNICEF children's hospital they didn't want to play football against.
Yeah.
And when they could be actually playing real team. Now, there's a couple exceptions to that, right? Actually, let's give South Carolina some credit, because they play Clemson. Georgia plays Georgia Tech. So there are a few that do that. I mean, and actually, here's a great example. USC plays Notre Dame every year.
Yeah.
And has since, well, other than the COVID year, and I think the 1 year that, like, I don't know, coal was restricted during World War II or something, they've played Notre Dame every single year. And so this is all very schedulable. And let's pick on two schools near and dear to my heart in my hometown, Notre Dame and Michigan, who hate each other. Like, they always are like looking for excuses to like play this little pissant game where they don't play each other. And there's no reason for that. Just play each other every year. Notre Dame should be playing Michigan every year on about September 10th. That's the way that like history has been. It's the way it should be.
Yeah, I do.
And you know what? Fritz Chrysler, who was a like really, really like crazy, grumpy AD who hated Notre Dame and was probably anti-Catholic and anti all sorts of things. Like, you know what, Notre Dame? You're right. In 1920, he was mean to you. Grow up.
grow up and get over it.
You're right. In 1920, Fritz Chrysler was mean to you, and that's the way it goes. So you should still play Michigan every year. I don't want to hear any more like 100 years ago the AD was mean to us.
No doubt about it. Hey, so let me ask you this, because you'll probably know this, but I didn't even check it. When Texas gets into the SEC, are they going to be playing at A&M on a regular basis?
I believe the first game is at A&M.
Okay, there you go. All right.
And I think they will be. I think I've heard they'll be protected rivals. I defer. There are SEC experts on this, so I defer to those guys. But my impression is that rivalry is back, and so you'll have Texas and Texas A&M and Oklahoma back playing each other.
Right.
And I'll tell you, one of the things that's kind of wild, people don't appreciate, like the state of Texas is about to turn very SEC.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because the overwhelming number of fans in that state are Texas, Texas A&M, a bunch of Texas Tech and Oklahoma, and everybody else is way smaller from fan wise. So it's going to be very heavy SEC. I think it's exciting to have that one back. You know, Nebraska and Colorado, they are playing each other now. There's no reason they can't schedule that every year.
Right. And you know what? Honestly, I think even if they're not as exciting as they used to be, it doesn't matter. That's just nostalgic. I mean, it goes in, you build it back up again, you know. Now, Missouri, Kansas, okay, you know, I don't know about that. Maybe basketball, you know, doing it. But I mean, again, I would love to see it. And if West Virginia can't get Pitt, they better get Virginia Tech. One of them.
Well, West Virginia should be playing Pitt and Virginia. And I mean, so I'll tell you also, if I was the conference, and this is a very unpopular idea, and it would create a scheduling mess and all that. But if I were the conference, I would somehow build in, like if I was the Big 12 and the ACC, I might rejigger my scheduling a little bit in some way. And again, they're going to be angry typing at me for saying this in just a minute. You guys I don't care what you think, but I would rejigger the conference schedules so that it doesn't hurt them to play those games.
Okay.
You know, you could do something wild. Like again, I'm just gonna make this up, right? We're just gonna make this up. But like here, if SMU joins the ACC, you could say, you know what? We're just gonna rejiggle our schedule with the SEC and say something like WVU plays Pitt every year and SMU plays TCU, and if that means that like Pitt doesn't play SMU and WVU doesn't play TCU, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's like scheduling things that you could do to create compelling matchups that have the whole country. I mean, you guys played that game in Pittsburgh last year. What a game that was. And the whole darn country was watching that game.
Yes, they were. And
so is it really important that you play at Brigham Young, or maybe should we play Pitt versus West Virginia every year? I think I know what I think the answer would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Then you're talking about a Power 5, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because again, you know, one of the things is you don't want to say, okay, we're going to have Pitt play our non-conference slate to include. I mean, look at your non-conference slate. You got like West Virginia, you got like Pitt, Virginia Tech, you get Penn State. I mean, you guys play real teams.
Yeah.
And then I take a look at somebody else's schedule, and they're like playing the Little Sisters of the Poor from the Birmingham Orphanage Convent.
Well, what does Michigan have? They got 3 G5 schools throughout the conference.
I'm surprised. You know what? There's not a Pee Wee football team in the world that Michigan wouldn't put on the schedule if they could.
Yeah, they try with Appy State.
I mean, but it comes back to haunt you sometimes. Let me tell you. Now, again, I'm the bad one for this because one of the proud things about USC is that we have never played an FBS opponent ever.
Really?
Well, I mean, not since the creation of 1AA in what was that 1980. Not since the split. We have never played a team in a lower categorization than us. And I think that's something to be proud of. I wish more teams would do it. Now, I also understand, for example, that for a lot of those teams, like that is a chance for them to have a moment in the sun. I'll give you another example. Something is happening this year and next year when Notre Dame plays an HBCU. And actually, there were 2 cases, UCLA last year and Notre Dame this year, or next year, I forget which one at Notre Dame, where they decided they were going to host an HBCU. And I really believe in the traditions and all the amazing stuff about HBCUs. And so for Alabama State, when Alabama State went to play in the Rose Bowl, And I mean, the marching Hornets marched through the tunnel of the Rose Bowl. Like that was an important moment, I think, to the sport.
Yeah. And
so I was okay with UCLA like breaking that, like we've never played a 1AA opponent. And Notre Dame is hosting, is it Tennessee State? I forget who it is. But so it's going to be the first HBCU to come into Notre Dame Stadium. And I think that's going to be a pretty cool and powerful moment.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know if Notre Dame learned its lessons from losing to Marshall last year.
Well, can we just talk about, and they should have lost to Cal, and they did lose to Stanford, and that was a bad Stanford team.
Yep, that sure was, man. Well, all right, very good, because I don't like Notre Dame, so I'm happy and get giddy every time they screw up.
On the table.
I'll come and join you to rip on Notre Dame any day of the week.
All right, sounds good. Hey, all right.
Just teasing, Irish.
Yeah, so listen, I'm not, okay? But, everything's changed. Everything's affecting. Everything trickles around, and here we go. Now the SEC is talking, and we'll see this year. Let's get your take on this. Everything has a trickle-down effect.
That was done when there was a Power 5. There is now a Power 4, kind of. Ross, you did a bunch of reporting on that on Yahoo Sports this week. What do you got?
Well, yeah, one of the ideas of creating the 6+6, which is 6 at-larges for the 6 highest ranked teams and 6 automatic qualifiers for the 6 highest ranked conference champions. One of the motivations for that was conceivably you would have every Power 5 champion in plus 1 automatic bid to the highest ranked group of 5 champion. The easy solution to this is just take away 1 automatic qualifier and go from 6 to 5 and add 1 at large spot. Go from 6 to 7. So a 5+7 instead of 6+6. But there's also the proposal that the SEC threw out there last year, which didn't garner enough support, but it's best 12. Just like we do the top 4 right now, make the playoff, it will be the top 12. So there are no automatic qualifier spots. Certainly the Big Ten and SEC probably would be in favor of that. With 1 fewer power league, those 2 leagues become a little more powerful. So could they get together and say, hey, we're going to take our ball and go home if we don't do best 12? Yeah, they could, but it takes a unanimous vote, 11-0 or 10-0, if the Pac-12 no longer exists, I guess, to pass a change in the playoff format for 24 and 25 seasons. 26 and beyond is open, right? There's not even a media contract right now for that. So it'll be fascinating. August 30th, they meet, and hopefully they can get this done quickly, unlike the last.
Oh, right. That was a little long there. I'm sorry. Keep everybody.
No, but great. Well, first of all, anytime Dan Wetzel and Ross Dellinger are opining, I usually agree.
Okay. Well, very good. And, let's think about this. We've talked about the Big 2 scenario. Everybody keeps talking about it. SEC, Big 10, joining together. Not joining together, but, colluding to make themselves the NFL league and everybody else the B league, right? And, and you sit there, and now they want to change the rules. And the SEC commish, as you say, right when that comes out, here comes the SEC commish, Sankey, and this is what he says. He goes, hey, there's going to be change, man. Right now, you can count on it. There's change. Check it out. Right?
And I'll tell you, though, what I think about this. And a lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine. You don't have to at me on it. I like the idea of including as many more teams as possible. I like the idea of teams having a shot. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we see this, like it's possible to win. Now in the 14 playoff, right? Like Cincinnati was never going to beat Alabama. Never. But in a 12-team playoff, Cincinnati might beat Clemson.
Yeah.
I mean, those types of things are very possible. I like including more teams and not including less teams. And quite honestly, if, number 11 Utah can't get in favor of somebody else, like I'm not shedding a lot of tears because I'm not really worried that team's going to beat Georgia anyway. No offense to Utah. So like, I mean, I just use them as an example. So like I look at it and I've never shed tears about the idea because I actually think they should take it to a 16-team playoff and involve more teams. I actually put together a plan once that looked at it that actually integrated conference championship games into the pyramid of the playoffs. Like the Big Ten champion should be like one of the four, and so like the Big Ten just like this was before the Big Ten got as big as it was. But I like the idea of like you had the four like coming up in pyramids to where like, the SEC championship was a quarterfinal. Like, so you were actually making those meaningfully, like almost like baseball, right? Like,
right.
In baseball, you don't have the NL, you don't find out who won the NL and then you all go to the playoffs. It's part of the tournament. Same thing with the NFL. They don't like declare an AFC champion and then be like, okay, now let's have a playoff. Actually, if they could get money, they might. But it actually integrates. So I would love something that does that. I like something that gets everybody involved. I'll tell you the other thing. The plan that I really like the most is the Knight Commission. So if you guys know, the Knight Commission, funded by the Knight Foundation, is like this brilliant think tank that looks to like challenge and rethink the world of college sports and what could be better in it. And they have recommended actually pulling out the biggest conference football and then away from the NCAA and having it be its own thing with its own big money and its own playoff, whatever it wants to do. And then having the NCAA create essentially kind of like FCS, but like an FBS playoff that would be like the G5 or, whoever's not a part of this giant mega money machine. Because I grew up also, and I don't know if you guys have like, it's probably not cool to admit that you like Marshall if you're a West Virginia fan, but like I grew up surrounded by the MAC schools and the MAC schools are awesome. And like they have great football and great fans and great tradition. I mean, Miami's the cradle of coaches and like, but they don't like factor anything. I mean, the best they get is what they get to go to the Bahamas Bowl. So like, what if there was a playoff where, Miami of Ohio and Air Force were like going at it? Like, I think that would be really fun. So I think there are a lot of options. The Knight Commission's really made a lot of good ones. The thing about it, particularly if Cal and Stanford and SMU join the ACC, the PAC will essentially, Oregon State will either, and I don't know, it may be a reverse merger, right? Where like the Mountain West goes into the PAC shell for whatever reason, or the same with the American. People have said, oh, maybe we'll make it the PAC, but it's the Pacific American Conference or something.
Right.
We'll see what happens. We don't know what's going to happen at this point with all that. May have changed by the time the show's over. But, we are losing a major conference, no question, especially if Cal and Stanford are out of it. And so, it makes sense that you would at least go down to 5 automatic qualifiers. But again, I think the more that you protect the idea that you get buy-in and you get relevancy, because nobody wants their team to be irrelevant.
No, I think you're 100% right. I think that would be kind of cool. I always love watching the FCS. I still call it 1AA a lot of times.
I do too. In fact, by the way, I still call it the Pac-10 from the first time.
Okay. Very good. Well, I don't blame you for that. And, so again, as this keeps going with me today, and I'm thinking about all this power too, and, how do you stop them and can you stop them? And then I get this Tim Brando and, he comes up here. It's nothing. And I'm going to get it back here to start, but he comes out here with his rant, which I thought, wow, now he's making a point with this. And
Tim Brando always makes a lot of really good points.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a rant right here. This is cool.
It's nothing more than a starting grid for the elite brand names in college football so they can make sure that they get the same damn 4 teams in the same damn bogus college football playoff that we've had to deal with since 2014. It's a joke. It's a crock. And the fact that legitimate media, I heard Ralph Russo today a little bit talking about, well, there's all these blue bloods. Well, why are all these blue bloods in there? Because you want them in there. That's why they're there.
He's talking about the AP top 25, setting them up and saying, hey, you know what? It's because you want them in there, and that's why you have the AP top 25.
Poor Ralph Russo catching some strays.
Yes, yeah.
I love Ralph. He's awesome.
Well, what do you think?
I mean, he's got a point. I mean, who do you? I mean, I get a little sick of. And by the way, the SEC, when we complain about like the SEC nonsense, like the SEC is brilliantly like engineered this level of support. You know, the fact like, well, 4-loss Alabama is as good as a, undefeated TCU, right?
Yeah.
And the problem that happens though is that just when we get really mad about that, then like, a multi-loss, what we think is not a real great Alabama team, takes Kansas State behind the woodshed.
Yeah.
And we want to be like, well, we want to be mad at you, but you were right the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's fair. That's kind of the side issue there. You're like, yeah, we saw that in the Sugar Bowl last year. Okay, well, we saw what Alabama did to Kansas State, and we saw what Georgia did to TCU, and okay, we lost our thing to stand on.
Wait a second. We had one thing. We did beat Michigan. I mean,
that was the Michigan team that was like, that game should have been narrated with the chicken dance music. I mean, Michigan was like, like what else could have gone wrong for Michigan? Michigan should have lost that game by 100 points.
I thought that was the worst game plan I've ever seen.
It was terrible. Actually, no, it's the second worst. You know what was even worse? USC's defense against Tulane, like the next day.
Okay.
That was worse.
Very
Same
good.
thing, actually, sort of, and same outcome, really. But no, I mean, he makes a great point, but at the same time, like, that's why I love the Knight Commission idea of let the biggest brands do what they want, and have a play, a playoff of the other teams, the other brand, because I believe when you have relevancy, it will matter. Look at Oregon State last year. Oregon State had a great team.
Yeah.
Oregon State throttled Florida. And of course there's excuse, oh, we didn't want to be there, oh, we had injuries, whatever. No, Oregon State took Florida behind the woodshed in Vegas. Like getting nailed, like getting beaten up by a casino bouncer, in the and so you look at that and you say those teams will win some games. And so I like the idea of having more teams in the playoff because we're getting to a point now. The playoff is going to be so big, the Outback Bowl will not be very meaningful.
Yeah.
Or it will be much less meaningful.
I understand.
So I like the idea of having more teams. If you're going to have 12, I think you should have 16.
Right. Well, that's what Keith is saying right here. Keith, the Hawkeye, he's like 16 teams. Why not?
Great point, Keith.
Why not? It's so much more exciting to me. And add the bowl games to each layer of level of competition, with quarterfinals to the semifinals. You can add the bowl games in that way if you want to.
Well, and the other thing, too, is the bowl games used to be organized by the tourism bureaus.
Yes.
And they played a really important tourism element of them. Now, most bowl games are just a fake event owned by ESPN. A lot of them take all the fans and put all the fans on one side of the stadium just to make it look better on TV. We're playing a bowl game in a rainy December in Boston at a rainy Fenway Park where the field doesn't even fit in the stadium. I don't know if that was one of the games that had one end zone, but they're like sharing a sideline out in center field. I mean, what are we doing when we can have playoff games on campus?
Well, you got this. You got the Pinstripe Bowl, West Virginia. It snowed. It was at Yankee Stadium.
And here's the thing. In the 15 years I've lived in and out of New York City, you know how many people I've ever met that went to the Pinstripe Bowl?
Yes.
No, not one.
That's the truth. It's wasted. It's just so much out there that you could do so much better that people are missing the boat and making the game better. And
yeah, I mean, have the playoff games on campus, like, right? So, I mean, play those games on campus. I mean, maybe the semifinals, whatever, but you're at a point where the tourism dollars are dwarfed by the TV dollars anyway.
Yeah. No, it's all about TV. That's why I wanted to talk about that. Big two. How possible, Tony, to cap it off, is it in your scenario that you see the SEC, the Big Ten pulling it away?
I mean, they could, but and I'm not an antitrust lawyer, so I wouldn't want to delve into that stuff. But we also are going to get to a point, let's be honest, where we may say, okay, I mean, one of the catches with the Big Ten is that the money in this Big Ten TV contract, like when we talk about, the Big Ten's it's gonna be, $80 million in media money or $75 million in media money per team during this next contract. Guess what? That's not for Indiana and Purdue and Minnesota. Mm-hmm. That's like $1 zillion for Ohio State, and then everybody else is just a rounding error. So you're going to get to a point where the Ohio States and the Michigans and the USCs and the Penn States and the Alabamas and the Georgias are going to say like, hey, Mississippi State, Vandy, Kentucky, Purdue, Indiana, Minnesota, Rutgers. Let's chat about this money. Now, one of the differences in the Big Ten, though, is remember that the Big Ten integrates its schools academically. Yeah. So your libraries are merged together. Your research, your cancer research is merged together. Your cybersecurity, your tech development, your leadership training, your faculty mentoring, your faculty hiring of your PhDs by the other Big Ten schools, like things that if you're a president actually matter a lot to you, are integrated in the Big Ten. USC, when they announced the athletic director, had the provost and the faculty athletic rep talk about the role of academics in the athletic department and the role of the Big Ten in academics. So for the Big Ten, like they're not going to kick out Indiana because the University of Indiana really matters to them. They're not going to kick out Purdue. But like you may see some real serious even consolidation within the conferences of money or access or scheduling or some stuff like that.
Well, all I know is if you're going to go Big Two, right, and you're going to do this, I don't really care about Rutgers. I don't really care about Maryland. It's just it's almost like you're going to have an elite Big Ten and an elite SEC.
Which is one of the reasons, by the way, I've said for years that West Virginia would be better in the SEC than a lot of what the SEC has.
There's no doubt. I can tell you there's times that we've gone down there. We've beaten Kentucky. We've beaten Mississippi State. Now, we lost Alabama 7 years ago in the Chick-fil-A Atlanta. But I'll tell you what, Clint Trickett at quarterback, we didn't do badly. It was a better game than most people thought it would be. And I thought, we had some good stuff going on there. All right. Is anybody out there, you guys that are talking, you got anything for Tony? I'm going to let him get going. What a day you did today, man.
This was fun.
Oh, I tell you what, man. I think you totally enjoyed this.
What a day of news, too.
It was an incredible day of news, man. It just keeps shocking to me. I mean, it just keeps going and going. Let me see. What do you got, Keith? This is if they do a former Super League, they must have some parity or people will lose interest. Look at baseball. Well, I think they're getting to that profit sharing now. Hey, the best model, there's no doubt, it's got to be the NFL. And when you have all teams make your money, now you can't sit there and say, Alabama, you can't take in all this money. But you should be able to say, Alabama, you can only spend this amount of money.
Well, remember, too, the NFL, I'll tell you something really unpopular, but it's true. The NFL is a more perfect version of communism by its true definition than the Soviet Union ever was. The NFL is like everybody comes in and everybody succeeds as a result. Like the NFL is collective, one for all. So when I was in business school, we went up and had some meetings with them, and the NFL people were awesome. And I remember hockey was doing something. This lady, just this awesome, brilliant, badass lady, who was a senior executive of the NFL. She's like, somebody asked her about something hockey was doing. She said, "Yeah, we looked at that. We just couldn't get the numbers to work to be something we'd be interested in. But I hope it works for hockey." And we were like, "Oh." I mean, the NFL, they're ballers, but they run the organization so that, like, for the collective good, everybody does better. And the SEC and the Big Ten have a lot of that in them, but not quite as much as the NFL.
No, there's no doubt about it. All right. Well, people, I don't see anything else here for Tony. Tony, that was amazing, man. This is great stuff. I learn every single week, not just one thing, but like 10 things new.
Thank you. Always glad to be here.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, we definitely want to have you back. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And hey, again, follow at TJ Altimore, man. I'm telling you, this guy tweets out stuff that you just learned is like one of the most fascinating accounts.
Thank you.
You got it, brother. Take care now.
Go Mountaineers. Fight on. We'll see you soon.
All right. Fight on. That's like USC, baby. He's got the USC in him right there. What a dude, man. Listen, if you don't enjoy that, I don't know what else you can enjoy. But let's go ahead and let's get to a couple things. First, let's go right to Abby Pearson, WVU Gymnastics, and let's get her up here. Parmar Stores, name, image, and likeness. Gotta love. Hey, down there, I got a shout out. Cantrell's down there, the River City Grille, right there. Shout out. What's up, Mitchell? Right on the river. Gorgeous in Hinton, West Virginia. Well, they're getting Country Roads Lager. They're trying to sign up for that, which I think they're on their way to doing it. Executed. So just like you saw the Pallet Bar, if you saw that picture with me on the screen, they're at the Pallet Bar and they're watching it. How cool is that? You get your Country Roads Trust Lager, so you're actually supporting name, image, and likeness for WVU. And not just football, not just basketball, for everybody. Because Country Roads Trust, they take care of all the athletes as best as they can. Stephen Ford, Oliver Luck, Ken Kendrick, Amanda Maisie, and I should have stopped right off the bat. All right, so I forgot. But here's Abby Pearson.
Hi, I'm Abby Pearson from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Parmar store.
We had that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
All right, go ahead and smash those like buttons out there on YouTubers, because we're on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. It's the voice of college football. You got to dig that, man. And we're going to go ahead and let's move into a whole nother level. Boy, I tell you what, I just get fired up, man. I hear about Tony and all that. What about the rivalries? Why not get Pitt back? Right? Why not get that? Who cares? But this could just schedule it, like Tony said. I don't care. NCAA. Who cares what they say? Because nobody else is listening to them right now. It makes no sense. Certainly not USC, right? Well, my goodness. How about this? This is something I wanted to get into. We're going to talk a little bit about leadership. And this is from Kirby Smart, the head coach at Georgia. And this is actually his media days. But he's want to talk about the cost of leadership. And I thought this to be truly intriguing, right on, spot on, whatever you want to call it. I think that, I'm going to show you a little bit of Dante Wright, some clips of Dante Wright, and then some clips of Justin Johnson before I break a little bit of Gary Green down from the Kansas State game, because he's number one now. So we're going to support him, going to point out some good stuff, point out some things he needs to get better at, and get ready to rock and roll, because we are headed to Penn State. And I'm talking about I'm saying WVU, man, and I'm all on board for it. So we're gonna go ahead, but let's go ahead and get Kirby Smart up here so we can watch this. I thought this is good, man. This is very good. The cost of leadership.
Anyone can tell you the benefits of great leaders. Anybody can tell you what it looks like. They can tell you what leadership can do for you. They can tell you how to develop leadership. There's tons of books written on great leaders and leadership. But you won't see, and what you will never see, is people talk about the costs of leadership and costs associated with leadership, I should say. If we truly want to be honest and upfront about leadership, you can't ignore the cost of leadership. Great leaders are willing to accept those costs. And I want to share quickly three of those things, three of the costs that are plastered on my desk right behind it that kind of caught me between the eyes last week. Number one, you will have to make hard decisions that negatively affect people you care about. Number two, you will be disliked despite your best attempt to do the best for the most. And number three, you will be misunderstood and won't always have the opportunity to defend yourself. Those are three costs that come from being a great leader.
It's nothing more.
Whoa. I'll tell you what. What do you think of that? The cost of leadership. You got to hurt people you care about. What does that mean? Well, when you talk about, say, football, for example, you're going to care about a second team player, but you have to name that number one team player, and you're going to care. But for leadership, for the better of the team, you have to make that decision. And that's what leadership is, not being afraid or not backing away. And how about this? How about the Pac-12's leadership? Do you think they should have made choices to be more proactive instead of react? Would they be in the same boat today? If there is true good leadership. Let's say Brett Yormark. Okay, let's go back to Bob Bowlesby, the commissioner before Brett Yormark of the Big 12. What about adding those 4 teams of BYU, Houston, Cincy, and UCF? You say, hey, they were. I was like, come on, G5. That's what we're going after. It was a little disappointing, but the reality is, it made it Big 12 stronger, and then they reacted with Brett Yormark, who's, I think, Mr. Brand, Mr. gonna pump everything out there. He's going ahead, and he adds what he added. And now the Big 12 is number one basketball for sure, and pretty darn good football. Even if it is, if you want to go SEC, Big 10, and then the Big 12, that's fine. I got no problem with that because you got a great basketball league. The Big 12 is going to thrive with the level of football they have, exciting level of football, and the exciting amount with basketball as well. Even though football steers most ships, the basketball is together a great combination, and I love it. What do you guys think about that, man? That's what I'm talking about now, right? Okay, so we got that leadership. When I talk about, and even when I said this, that I'm all for Garrett Green, and I'm going to show you some good clips of him today. But I think eventually down the road, it's going to be a quarterback that has more ability. And that would be Nico Markule. Eventually, whatever it may be. Maybe sooner, maybe late, maybe, never. Who knows? Garrett may take over and never look back. It's happened before, and it can happen again. Never say never. But when you got to make these decisions. And so with Neil Brown, what he said in the press conference a couple of days ago, yeah, I'm cool with that, man. Make your decision. Now get them every repetition that they need to with those ones, because you got obviously the big game with Penn State. But let's go ahead. Let's jump into this here with Dante Wright. This is the safeties coach, and I really like it. He's got some good clips here that I want to get at. And you're going to hear a couple of questions by some of the reporters. But, Dante, now, I'll wait till I get into this. Right? I'll wait till I get into this. But I like this guy. Okay, I like him. And here's the thing. Now I said, wait. Okay, I'm going to wait. Here we go. Let's roll the first cut.
What do you see out of the safeties?
Well, that's a great question to start off with. I see we have more depth, which more depth leads to more competition, which is always a good thing. That's what you're looking for in any coach, as any coach, is more competition. So those guys, they don't feel comfortable. They always know that somebody is pushing them, so they always have to get better. But we got more tools. We got guys that can be physical. We got guys that can play coverage. We got guys that understand the game at a really high level. We're faster than we've ever been. So I see a lot of ability if you look at the whole group as a whole, and each one of them are unique in their abilities.
Well, I'll tell you this. Okay, so good is that what he's saying here is that they're better, and he likes the group of safety. Now I don't know how. They've changed so much. I could go ahead, I could look at this here and break this down right now, and I'm looking at it, and I see some guys here that are kind of the same. A couple new guys added in there. You got Beanie in there. Who's battling with Wilson, and you're looking at it, and you just you got it. So again, I'm excited that he feels this way. Have I heard this before? Yeah, I've heard this before, but let's keep seeing what he says because I think there's a lot in what he's actually saying and hoping for the truth.
It's not like in the past where we had a bunch of youth and you were trying to teach them everything. I'm teaching, calculus and trigonometry now instead of basic math, so that's fun. That's exciting. And, I got a group that I love, man, that care about each other. They love each other and they work really hard. And then they fit well with the rest of the pieces on this defense. So I'm excited about the group.
All right. Again, he's excited about the group. He's teaching calculus and trigonometry over basic math. I understand what that means. You know what he's talking about is you got guys so young. Apparently, they were so young last year. And I think about Dante. I'm like, man, he's a really good coach, really, really good coach. And I know that Shadon Brown is a really good coach, and Jordan Leslie's a good coach, and Jeff Kuntz is a good coach. But why were they so bad? Why was that? Did they not listen? Why were the schemes not right? Why is the alignment right? So now he's saying, though, is that, okay, we got it. We're getting it. We're doing the right things. We're making the right choices. We got people that can understand the game better because, well, I'll tell you what. You can ask Jeff Castile and someone that would rather have less talent but really smart IQ and play a position or have a ton of talent and just not all up there, man. Because you know why? They're going to do something silly, something foolish, something that's going to blow up and interface, and usually at the most critical time of the game. Stupid penalty here, a fumble here, a late hit there, jumping off sides, punching a dude, just something that's not having discipline and control. And that's what you want to have. So if you're teaching calculus and trigonometry and over basic math, that's cooking. Now, what is that? How does that correspond to what Neil Brown's been talking about? So now you're talking about dudes that are getting it, dudes that are more competitive, and he's not having to teach from the back. So maybe that's why they were so bad. Maybe that's why. Okay, so that's good that if we're not there right now. But I've also heard that last year's secondary was, remember this one, the most athletic that they had seen. That was last camp. I know, I have it on tape. I have myself commenting on tape on that. So again, all right, I've heard this before, but I like what you're saying. I'm starting to pick up what you're putting down. Okay, this is not negative, but this is that, I'm Missouri right now, man. You gotta prove it. Show me state. I'm Mizzou. Okay, because it's right now at this point and in this year, all right. And the truth is the truth. I'm telling the truth because I want West Virginia University football to be its best. At its best. So, again, I am picking up what he's putting down, and I'm excited about it. It makes me lift up my spirits. At the same time, man, all right, all that cool. It's not one gulp, okay? We're sipping right now. We're sipping. Okay, next one.
Here a little while ago. So, what do you see from him? What made you want to bring?
Talking Anthony Wilson, the safety from Georgia Southern. I cut that part out. Didn't realize that.
Bring him in.
Production. I mean, he had 101 tackles last year. He had a bunch of plays on the ball. I can't remember pass breakups and all this stuff. But he produced. He was physical. You never saw effort because, as you all know, we don't just go and watch a highlight tape. We're going to watch everything. We're going to watch the good, the bad. You never worried about effort. You could see him communicating on film. I think what fits us here is people that come from smaller schools and come up and they got a little bit of chip on their shoulder. And you walk every day he walks in this building, he's got a chip on his shoulder and something to prove. Now that doesn't mean he's walking around here mean mugging people and mad. I'm not saying that, but when he steps on them lines, it ain't about friends. It's about getting better and making sure that we're all on the same page.
Very interesting. I got a couple takes on that, and when he sits back and he talks like that, and the way Dante Ray talks, kind of look at him like he's the Godfather or something. Or like, take him out. You know what I mean? can't just see him saying that. But now he's talking about Anthony Wilson, Georgia Southern, the safety. That's coming out. He's 5'11". Okay, so he's not the biggest cat out there. And when I look here and I see him, he's 5'9". He's 190. He's a redshirt junior. Tough kid, obviously. Production. Yeah, I like 100 tackles. That sounds pretty good. And any coach would say you want that. Now, what kind of gets to me is, this is Dante's first Power 5 job. Okay. When we look at the 13 or 14 transfers that came, 15 transfers that came in, there's only like 4 that came from a Power 5 schools. 4 or 5. If you look at, you can look at Beanie Bishop. He came from Minnesota 1 year. He was at Western Kentucky for 5. Okay. So again, I'm not sitting here ripping. I'm not saying, would you say he fits us? This young guy with a chip on his shoulder at West Virginia? What are you saying? Because I want Dante Stills. I want Wyatt Milums. I want Zach Frazier's. Now, I'll take it, Anthony Wilson, if he's the player at 100 tackles. But would you say that, is this the attitude that we're trying to take these players, with Wood, the corner from Illinois State a couple of years ago, Charles Wood? I mean, now he turned out to be a gem. But I could show you some guys that didn't, because they probably should have stayed in G5 or FCS. Okay, I'm telling the truth. I don't like that attitude. And if you're going to take a guy with a chip on his shoulder and say, yeah, that thing fits us. What, because now you're picked 14th in the league? Is that why that attitude fits you? Because you got a chip on his shoulder? Well, let me tell you something. All right? If I think Anthony Wilson's going to have a good year, be fitting good, because he's a tough player, 100 promotion. But when you say a guy chip on his shoulder is small and all that, it doesn't apply to Penn State. Just like I had Tom Bradley on here yesterday, coached 33 years at Penn State, broadcaster, national, Steelers coach for 3 years, UCLA defense coordinator, here at West Virginia. It's because Penn State has good football players. They're big. Okay, they're big. Even their quarterback, 6'5", 250, 243. Okay, Drew Allar. Even their offensive lineman who just got picked, number 74, the left tackle, what is his name, Falula or whatever. Okay, could have been the first-round draft pick, first-team All-American preseason, because he should have been first-team, first-day draft in the NFL this year, but he came back and stayed. Kalen King, their cornerback. Okay, preseason All-American. They have players that are big, because they don't have to go small. So again, I'm just saying is I'm not jumping down at the. I'm saying is, what am I looking for the team? Leadership, right? What is leadership? It's making decisions and telling the truth, whether you seem mean or not. It's not mean. I'm looking for the best for WVU. Is it the best for WVU that there comes a G5 guy and Anthony Wilson, who's 5'9", and who he's battling with is Marquise Floyd? Okay, where'd Marquise from? He came from Murray State, FCS. Those are our two positions. I can't tell you how many tackles that was missed in the safety position. All right? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, watch out. Just watch out. Because I think this whole coaching staff has got, I don't know. I'm going to hold it right there on the line. I'm going to hold it right there. Here we go. Next one. Still a fan of Dante Wright.
Aubrey Burks, obviously he's made a lot of plays. You're smiling. How much of that is instincts? How much of that is God-given ability? Where does all that fit, and where can he go, and what can he be?
Well, I'll answer that last part again, just like I did in the spring. He can go as far as he wants, and I'm doubling down on it. That kid can play in NFL if he wants to. If he continues to do the things that got him to this point, he will. That's if. Now, that's on him. He knows that the ball's in his court. He's got to keep doing it. If he wants to produce like he has this fall camp, because he's got 7 or 8 picks, he's probably got 6 or 7 more PBUs that have led to interceptions from other people. Like, if he wants to continue to do that, he needs to prepare like he has been. Because the best thing about Aubrey Burks right now is, and I just went and hammered it with my guys this morning, like, he meets with me one-on-one every other day. First thing in the morning, we meet at 6 a.m. Every other day. Does not matter if we're practicing, does not matter if it's an off day. Every other day, he meets with me. And he is not only just trying to figure out his job, but he's trying to make sure he understands where all those pieces are, and that is why he is able to play the way that he is. It's not, I know our offense likes to think that it's because he understands their play. No, it's because he knows what he has to defend and only what he has to defend. Because he knows what that skiff defender has to do, what that spur into the boundary that's on the other side of the field from it. Like, he knows every single person's job. So it allows him to play really, really fast. And when you've heard me say this before, when a young man gets to the point where he's not worrying about his job, now all he has to do is look at what the offense is telling him. Now the game becomes easy. Because just like as an offense looks at the defense, that offense has tails on every play. Whether number two's on the ball, he's got a cut, split, whatever it may.
Yep, there you go. They have it. And Dante, right? What did he start out with? Saying Aubrey Burks, boy, he's going to be special. Yeah, I think he certainly could be. He comes in for a Pro Football Focus, is the best rated defensive back returning from the Big 12 when they looked at it overall. And so that gives him a lot of credit, a lot of good stuff for him there, Aubrey Burks. And with Aubrey, now when he knows everybody else's positions, well, he has to, because he's got to be the communicator. So we got to have a lead code. But remember, this is Big 12 territory. A lot of, let's just say Texas Tech, because I love to use them for the speed example. They're not going hurry, like a 2-minute drill. They're going jet. Remember when Rich Rod used to have that term, jet? Well, that means that they're going as fast as they can, unless they intentionally slow it down. But they're going as fast as they can. So that means defenses have to align. So with Aubrey Burks being in the position he is now, hey, how impressive is that? 6 o'clock every other day morning with Dante Wright. Gotta love that, right? I mean, that's dedication, and that's really a wanting to compete and a wanting to win. So great indication there. And if he can play in the NFL, great. Another player from WVU, good. That is absolutely fantastic, and I'm all about it. And when he says he knows, he's a quarterback of the defense. He knows the spear spot. He knows the corner spot. He knows the defensive alignments, what they're doing, and he doesn't have to think about it. He can react. That is good news. So everything I just said is now you got a guy that's not a diamond in the rough. Okay, he's not. He's a guy that is legit Power 5 player out there, and he's directing the defense. Again, I keep thinking to me, Aubrey Burks, he was a young guy last year, grew up a lot this offseason, but why? What was wrong with that defense last year? What was wrong? Why was it so hard to align? Why was it so hard? Well, I guess Dante said that it was an issue that he was teaching basic math. Instead, now he's teaching, trigonometry and calculus, I think was the words. Here we go. We're almost done with, I think we got 2 more.
One, as across the board on defense, we are so much better tacklers. Like, we do tackling every single day, no matter if we have helmets on or if we're in full pads. We are going to tackle, and we're going to, what Coach Leslie says, we're going to callus up. Like, we're going to do it so many times that it turns into a callus and it's second nature. And you can see that from scrimmage 2 nights ago. Like, we only had a couple missed tackles. And we got some pretty good dudes we're going against over there. CJ played 10 or 15 snaps, and we had to get his butt down on the ground. Like, we got some dudes we're going against. And we're not missing a bunch of tackles. It's because we do it every single day.
All right, that's it for that, I believe. All right, so very good, man. What does he say? That they can tackle. All right. Hallelujah, man. That's what Neil Brown talking about. Having intensity this year and turning it up, man. And this is not like last year. And they want to get calloused from tackling. Can't argue with that. Again, show me, State. Right now, I'm parking my car in Missouri. I want to see what happens because, again, I've heard things before. Now, let's go. Again, I'm not being negative. I'm saying I've heard it before. So there's a difference there. But Dante Wright, again, I think he sounds like the Godfather. I think he's a good coach. I think he's been young a little bit. I think that he's had to learn. And I think really a lot of these coaches, when you think about coming to Power 5 schools, I know this is Dante's first Power 5 school, not Shadon's, but you look at the others, and you could say, well, okay, so the offensive line coach there, and Moore was at Texas Tech before, but they could come from. I don't know. I want to see more Power 5 guys in the transfer portal. I like bigger. You can always deal with a smaller player, but it's not the guy we're always looking for. We're looking for length. We're looking for long. We like that length. We like those Lance Dixons out there. It's almost 6'3". We'd like that up there. We'd like that height. Now, listen, there's always a PAC man out there that just defy everything and is just kick your can no matter what. All right? So there's always that. And Anthony Wilson may be that guy. And I hope he is. And if he's the guy to do that, then let's do it. And let's go. But again, I remember a time, and this is a real quick story. I took over at Phoenix College. We had dudes that look really small. And then Pima College from Tucson got off the bus, and I swear they looked like Power 5 team. They had all the best recruits in from all over the country. And you knew when they walked off the bus, it wasn't just the first guy that got off the bus that won that be like, oh my gosh, your team. They kept coming. They kept coming. And I said to my brother Rodney, I said, Pony, I said, man, you know we're going to get killed, right? He's like, oh yeah, I knew before. All right, so again, is you want to have those dudes, you can't live off those dudes. Now, I want to flip this over to Justin Jump Cut Johnson. I call him Triple J. It's not because he's Justin Johnson Jr., but because I want to add the jump cut in there. And he's got 3 cuts here I want to play with this. And I think it's he's really got a good head because Neil Brown has said he is the most consistent offensive running back that he's had all camp. And he's learned a lot. Let's listen to JJ.
In the building, and now all of a sudden you guys are a lot of the veterans and more experienced. But does it feel different? And how do you guys take the leadership role with that?
Yeah, we definitely have a lot more responsibility with the offense because we're definitely some playmakers on this side of the ball, and we improved that last year. And we added some new additions with Jaheim White, DJ Oliver, and Judah Price, and they've been productive this whole fall camp and throughout the whole process. So I feel like everybody's been taking the responsibility really good.
I'll tell you what, that's pretty good. I mean, he's sitting there, he's giving credit to his people in the room. He wants the ball. That when Neil Brown says he's been the most consistent, I think, when you look at C.J. Donaldson and Neil said he's looked good. I wonder if he's trying to get accustomed maybe to the new weight that he has. Is that maybe a possibility? I don't know. Again, this is just speculation on my part, but I know reality speculation. And I know that when you gain a lot of weight and you have to be that same dude, sometimes, you just got to get used to it. I know I gained weight. I went from 250 offensive lineman up to 300 by the time I was 5 years later. Every increment, every step was something I had to adjust to and affected play, and until you just work through it. And that's all that I'm saying. It's a possibility. And then you say, with Justin there, boy, I tell you, he had some good games. I was watching, breaking down Kansas State film today from last year, and he's really has some ability. And again, giving out to, Jalen Anderson. Jalen Anderson says, he needs to be able to be 100% effort every play. That's what Neil Brown said. Those are the exact words. So that tells me that a little bit out of shape going through camp, but, that will come. That will come. But the more guys, the better. So interesting points. Kudos for him talking about everybody in the room, making a big improvement.
Last year boosted my confidence a lot. It was really my first real action to see the field. So now I'm kind of knowing what I'm looking for, knowing what I'm doing a little bit. Like I said, I consider myself a vet, a lot more confident, and just the game slowed down a lot for me with last year. So this year's I'm expecting to have a big year.
All right, he's a vet. I think that's funny. I don't know why. I mean, that cracks me up. I like this young man. I think he looks like he truly is starting to understand. We talk about that light bulb going off. Like when you're a freshman, man, and everything's so fast, flying around you. The light bulb is still a little dark. But when that light bulb turns on, And you're like, whoa, wait a minute, everything slows down. What was going boom is now boom. Okay, it's like I can handle boom. Sometimes you can't handle boom, right? But you can handle boom. So with that being said, I think that's what he's talking about. He's feeling it. And that's, oh, man, you don't even know how good you can be until you start to feel that and see where that's coming from. And did you ever see his jump cuts? Okay, his jump cuts are just jump, 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 and it's really pretty exciting to watch. I think he's got a lot of that. Now listen, you got C.J. Douglas. I'm not talking about him starting or whatever, but he also is putting it together, not just with the rock, not just with the pill, man. Check it out.
What does confidence do? I mean, explain what goes on that losing doubt in your mind.
Yeah, confidence is a huge factor. You know, the more confidence you have, the faster you're going to play, the better you're going to play, the better you're going to feel, you know. And that's just how I feel. I'm more confident about my game, and I know what we're going to do this year.
What's the difference between confidence and cockiness?
I say the difference between confidence and cockiness is kind of just saying you're about this, you're about that, but you can't back it up. Confidence is saying you're about this, you're about that, and you go show that you're about that.
Young guys in the building.
Okay, I disagree with that a little bit with the youngin. Okay, first of all, confidence makes you the ability to go ahead and be so much smoother, be so understanding, be able to pick up that linebacker blitz, right? Be able to do all that linebacker blitzes, safety blitzes. Okay, so you have that confidence. I know the play. I know what happens if this one comes. I know what happens, number two, if this one stays and this one comes. I know what to do. I know what to do if this one stays, and this one comes. I know what to do. Same thing as you talk about Aubrey Burks on the last one. It's the same exact thing. But what it is the confidence, it's smoothness, it's the confidence to know. Everybody knows when you start out a new gig or a new project or something very new to you that takes skill. Okay, you're lacking the confidence. Well, this is what he's talking about. Now, what I disagree with him on is cockiness and confidence. He says that cockiness is going ahead and saying, I can do this, I can do that, but not being able to back it up. Now, I don't quite think so. Because to me, cockiness, I've seen, I can do this, I can do that, and still back it up. I think it's more about how you present it than what it is. If you're confident, you know it, and you know, I think Deion Sanders prime, I think he's confident. I also think he's cocky. But I'll tell you, he's a guy that makes me laugh, a guy I like. I like his confidence. He says, don't let my confidence disturb you, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but don't let my confidence bother you. Don't let it turn you away because I am confident, because I know how to get somewhere, I know how to do something. Cockiness can be good, but you can't be a prick about it, all right? You can't be a jerk about it. And if you are, then I think that's what turns people away. But again, I just thought that was funny. Just a little side thing for me, but I thought that was good here. All right. So listen, I got this. I got a lot going on here, and we've already gone the hour and a half here with this. And let's see, what do we got here? All right, am I comparing here? What do we see here? I just missed it. Somebody says, are you comparing Anthony Wilson with Pac-Man? No, I'm saying Pac-Man was smaller. I know I'm comparing Anthony Wilson. I don't know how good Anthony Wilson is. Have you seen him play yet? I haven't seen him play yet. What I'm saying is small. I'm using the term, but he was smaller. Okay. When you're playing the game of football, you usually like the bigger, the better. The more athletic, the better. All right. So straight up, that's not what I'm saying, is that because he's 5'9", he can't play the safety position. Pac-Man was shorter too, but he'd kill you. He'd kill you. So that's what I'm comparing to, saying is you can never be sure because it's never the same apple. It's never the same orange. Okay, if you know what I mean. You can't wrap them all up and say all this is one. All 5'9" guys are this. You can't do that because there's great players all around. But what I am saying is give me a 6-foot safety and put him with skill, usually better with length. That's what I'm saying. Anyone else that wants me to clarify? Let's see. Okay, 100%. Let's see. You comparing Anthony? No, I'm not comparing the two together. I'm not. All right. And got to prove it on the field. That is yes. And Timothy, if you want to succeed, you have to work. Let's go ahead and read it so I can read it. You have to work, study, and work some more. Well, hey, that's Aubrey Burks, right? That's what Dante is saying. Is that he's there at 6 a.m. Man, kudos for that. That's impressive. Impressive young man, Aubrey Burks. Impressive. Let's see. Yes, work hard, enjoy it. There you go. We'll throw that up. Let's see. He goes, Judah Price, that's a tough little guy. Tough little guy. No one's ever questioned toughness. Nobody. I'll tell you what. Nobody's. You know what I hated? All right, Mike, you got me going here now, right? So you just turned me. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I hated. I hated nose guards. And there's this dude at Rutgers. Okay, he must have been 5'10", maybe 5'9.5", about 300 pounds, and he was so low. It's kind of like Deuce right now, playing for the Cowboys. Deuce Vaughn was with Kansas State. He was shorter, but he was so center of gravity was so close to the ground, and but Deuce Vaughn is a 600-pound squat guy, right? I mean, probably 450 bench, something like that. Dude is just yoked. He's as wide and thick as he is tall. And that's why you see him. You can't bring him down. He's like a bowling ball, man. You just bounce off him as pillars. Well, going against this nose guard I'll never forget it, man. This dude was so hard because the lower man wins in the offensive line to defensive line ratio. Lower man usually wins, okay? But it was hard to get lower than him because his head was down here. His head was below the centers right there, nose guard. I had to come in and go ahead and try to rudabog him. That's right, trying to rudabog him right on up and get underneath and then pick him up to drive him back. Well, sometimes it's difficult. So sometimes instead of trying to rudabog him, I would go ahead and try to hit him and then fall on top of him and take my weight and put him on the ground. It was easier to just lay on top of him than it was to try to rudabog him right out of the area there. So if you understand what I'm saying, again, I'm not ripping on that. All right. I am saying is not looking for that. That's not my prime. It's not my prime targets. Okay. Not my prime targets. All right. What else we got here? Judah Price is a tough little guy. Yep. I agree. And I think those tough little guys are some of the toughest. And Deuce Vaughn certainly proves that out. All right. There we go. Let's go to QDR codes, baby. QDR codes. Got to keep this. Got to remind me every time. Hey, again, I put Mike on here. Mike Dunlap, GoFundMe, right? Mike's a brother. Just got his kidney after waiting 4 years. You go ahead and QR code that right there. Go to his GoFundMe or what was it? Polkadot66 at gmail.com. Polkadot66 at gmail.com. You can get to his PayPal right through that. And you see Mike here. And again, waited all this time for a kidney. As soon as he got the kidney transplant, he found out he had a heart condition, needing new 3 valves, and having to travel up to the Cleveland Clinic. The guy just hasn't caught a break, man. He's a brother. We love him to death. Mountaineer Brothers. If you could contribute $20, $10, I don't know what the GoFundMe limit. If you don't like GoFundMe, I understand. But this guy's worth more than you being pissed off at the GoFundMe or whatever it is. He's a hometown hero in Charleston, West Virginia. Even when he was sick, he was that. And just he's a good dude. If you got a chance, go ahead and head out to there. And then let's go to this Pallet Mini batteries. Pallet Mini rechargers and batteries. Go green, save the moolah, save the dollars. QR code that. I leave these out there so you can go ahead and QR them and look them up on the Facebook page there. So you can go ahead and check that out. You know what? I ran 2 shows when the power was out in the studio here in the Wuss Den. When the power was out in the studio, I ran 2 shows from here, and Didn't miss a beat, except it was a little dark. A little dark. Go ahead and do that. And here we go with this right here. Arson Grange Company, Hemp Dip. Arson Grange, AGC. Switch. Make the switch. Get off the nicotine. Get off the tobacco. AGC. You can get it at Parmar stores. Parmar stores. You can QR code it here and go to wolfmandip.com, or you can go to Arson Grange Company right there to the where the QR code is. You can wolfmandip.com or Parmar stores. Get it, man. Good stuff. Get you off the nicotine, get you off the tobacco. Helps me sleep. Helps me sleep. All right, what else? Oh, here we go. Johnny Campbell, former offensive lineman for the Mountaineers. West Virginia United. United in purpose. West Virginia we stand. Get your decal. Start the movement. Be a part of the movement. Be a leader. What do leaders do? They lead. What do good leaders do? They lead good. That's my take on it. Anyways, very good. All right. Oh, last one. Let's go. I'm going to do this for Frank Fair because Frank Fair and the Frank Fair Hour. If you go to the sports column and you go, you can QR this as well. I mean, this is open to anyone who wants to write an article. If you're young, if you're in journalism school, if you ever wanted to write, if you ever want to get published, write it here to the sports column because they'll publish it unless it sucks, right? If it's mean or not fair or true or whatever. But they don't usually turn anybody down that's going to spend the time to invest in a good article. Usually you're going to try to make it a good article because you're a wannabe future. That's what you want to do. So if you enjoy writing, you love it, go to the sports column. Frank Fear, totally, what a dude, man. What a dude. And then let's go ahead and let's go to our network. And that is so cool. Now, you heard the commercial. You heard the commercial at the beginning of the intro if you're watching. If you're here an hour and a half ago. And what you can see here is this is the WolfMan's Network. Now, we're doing a special just once this year. In-house at the Pallet and in-house in the WolfMan's Call Network and in-house with the voice of college football right there on YouTube. You got to sign up. You got to subscribe. Okay, so make sure you hit the like buttons and make sure you subscribe to West Virginia at Voice of College Football, or you go to, I said the word I'm going to screw up, proprietor, your favorite establishment. You're eating, drinking, whatever it is, where you like to go to watch your West Virginia games. You could go ahead and get the WolfMan's Call at your establishment. All you got to do is email me and my team at wolfmanscall@gmail.com, wolfmanscall@gmail.com. And, of course, look what we got. Okay, I got to do it. Look what we got. You see it, Archies, East Carson Street, Pittsburgh. Mike Manning, routes, what's 22, right on Route 22. Man, bottoms up there with the tap. Woo, they got 12 50-inch screen TVs. Again, I hope I'm not on one of those. I put them all together because I'd look very wide, a lot of full face. And then we have Calacino's Pizzeria and Sports Bar down in Beckley, West Virginia. And Cantrell's River City Grill and Pub. Now, for the special, all you down there in Hinton, listen, check it out. For the special, you get 1 pint. You buy it 6 to 7, and the next one's on them. I'm talking Cantwell's during the WolfMan's Call special, a breakdown pregame beating Penn State. That's what we're going to do, right? And Legend Sports Bar and Grill out at Cheat Lake, right there in Lakeview. And Aaron Gizzy, go hit the links. Awesome. Love Gizzy, by the way. You know, Gizzy's part of Special Olympics West Virginia, big part of it. He actually works in part of the treasury and all that good stuff. So what a dude, man. You got Danny's down in Princeton, West Virginia. You got Paige there. Yeah, I see you, Paige, and appreciate your support. And we thank you for that down there all the way in Princeton, watching the WolfMan's Call. We're taking over the South, man. And back up to Morgantown from there. We just all over the place here. Kegler Sports Bar and Grill. I'll tell you what. Royalty, Jerry, Greg, and Steve Lorenz, Dougie Moore. How can I not mention Dougie Moore? And then, of course, you got all the people that work there. Drew, everybody. Kegler Sports Bar and Grill Morgantown. And then you stay in Morgantown, you head right over to the mall there in Morgantown to the Mason Jar Saloon and Hot Spot right up on Fairmont Road, right past the mall. And then you can continue on down to Fairmont for the Mason Jar Barbecue and more. And just two amazing places, the food, everything, good times, all great stuff. And then finally, listen, not finally, no, we got more. But finally, Mel learned how to do the closed caption on the YouTube there at the Mountaineer Tap House for when the music is going. Hey, I'm not here to screw up the music and the good times of your establishment. They got closed caption, and she figured it out finally. Good job, Mel. Love you, man. And then we got Elkins there. We got Jimbo's Place and Buckhannon Jimbo's Place. So good, they had to do another of them. And Jimmy Pointer out there, man. Good job, guys. And Mister, I love doing the grand opening, the one in Buckhannon as well. And we got Jimbo's, and we got two more. Rob Davis, Brickside Bar and Grill down in Bridgeport. Eat local. It's got 30 different tap beers. It's a great place. You got inside, you got outside. Big new, hey, I went down, big new catering room too now. Hey, Rob, looking good, man. Looking sharp, brother. And of course, you have the Pitch down in Dunbar, right there, and right by Charleston there at part of Charleston. To me, it's the same thing. They probably don't think that. I shouldn't say that. But it's Dunbar, West Virginia. The Pitch, man, being awesome right there and loving it. And working to get a few more, maybe before the preseason special, but it's out there. So we're all good, people. It's all good. The show, I got to thank you. The numbers are just really increasing. Really appreciate everything you guys do. And I'm looking, do I see anybody down here? Timothy Green, love the show. Kelly McCord, I'm still here, Wolfman. You know, you are a loyal son of a gun, man. And I appreciate you. And I mean it on my heart. You know that. You got the hats and the footballs and all that to prove it. Because you are loyal, brother. Let's see. Real great job and a wonderful show. Well, thank you there very much. What else we got? 100. I like the 100s, man. You gotta give me that 100s. That's very cool. What else we got? Anything else we got cooking? All right. It seems to me, Carl Joseph. Well, Carl Joseph, I don't know if he was 5'9", was he? I don't think Carl was 5'9". He may have been 5'11". 5'11". I just saw this up here. God, you're throwing stuff at me, man. I don't see some of this stuff here. All is good, though, man. Let's see. Okay, last time we list Timothy Green. Right here. If you want to succeed, you have to work and study and work some more. Those are words of wisdom, my friends. You can't go wrong. That's it for today. It's the WolfMan's call. Words of wisdom, my friend. And this is it. How about some Zach Frazier words of wisdom? Because he doesn't talk much, but he hits you a lot. What's up, ZF?
Hi, I'm Zach Frazier from Fairmont, and when I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Parmar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Northern Eagle Distributing, proudly serving Anheuser-Busch products to West Virginians. Stationers, #1 office supplier in West Virginia, always in stock. How many? The anywhere, anytime chargers, powering a connected world. Never buy AA batteries again. Rechargeable 500 times plus. Paul Mini AA USB lithium battery, as easy to charge as your cell phone. Sustainable energy, stay charged. Go green, save green. Feel the power of Paul. Order now at paulmini.com.
West Virginia United.